Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Alex and this is my Revive channel. Today's video is going to be about how life is after graduating high school in Austria. So since I'm from Austria, I thought it would be a fun idea to create a series where I talk about certain topics in relation to my country and other countries. So the differences, the similarities. Today I'm just going to talk about how I perceive life is after high school, what you are going to do, what options you have. So if you live in Austria, you have two options. You can either go to college or directly go to work. It kind of depends on which school you went to and what job you want to do. Let me clarify the school thing. I wanted to make a whole video on the school system in Austria compared to other countries because I think it's, first of all, very different and will clear up a lot of complicated me rambling around. This is kind of different in this aspect when talking about other topics. So if you would like to have a video like that, then give this video a thumbs up and I will do that. But what I wanted to say is if you went to a school like mine, which was job specific, kind of like college is, or you do a job like mine, which is in marketing, and you did the school that I did, you don't really need to go to college for that job. You can, and some workspaces require it, but most of them don't require you going to college. So if you don't want to spend that extra money, that extra time, I would suggest going to a school like mine so you don't need to go to college if you don't want to. But either way, for everyone after graduation, I would suggest you to spend the summer wisely. Have fun, enjoy it, especially if you're going to work. Because if you start working, this might be the last summer break you're gonna have. Enjoy it. But back to the timeline. If you go to college, I think it's really self-explanatory. So you apply, and in Austria, I think we don't have any application fees. There might be some private universities that have application fees, but for the most part, there's no application fee. You can apply to as much universities as you'd like. The next part is thinking about your living situation. Are you gonna move away from home? Is this university farther away from home? Do you need to search for an apartment, roommates, a dorm room, or are you gonna live at home? Is it possible to live at home? There are a lot of things that you have to think about when talking about college and living situation, and I think you should have that in order a few months prior to when you're going to college, so you don't have to think about and stress about it when it's time. And the last point that I have on my list is budgeting and finding a part-time job. Even though Austrian universities or colleges are rather cheap, most of the time you have to pay like 350 euros a semester, 300 euros a month. So private universities most of the time require you a higher payment because they're private, and they mostly have monthly payments, and government-owned colleges or government-funded colleges most of the time just have you pay a little fee every semester, which isn't that high. But you still need to think about it, and you still have to pay rent if you move out, and you still have to think about your tuition if your parents don't pay it for you. But either way, even though you may live at home and your parents pay your tuition, I think you still should work on the side, because after college you will have some money, a little money pocket that you can fall back on if you need to. So if you start working after graduation, it's a little bit different. So the first thing is the application process for a job is, first of all, really different. I applied for so many jobs before I got the one job that I am working at now. And also, in comparison to college, no one really forces you to apply. And I don't mean that anyone is forcing you to go to college. Maybe some parents do, but I think that is wrong. But in college, you have a deadline to apply. You have a certain starting point. And of course, you can take a year off and do something else, but you eventually have a deadline where you have to apply. For work, of course, there's again that element that your parents are forcing you to apply, or you don't get any money from your parents, or you are gonna move away, you will need money. So that's the only thing that kind of pressures you, but no one really is saying this day, this month, this time you need to apply to a job, or you have to have a job. I applied really late. I had summer break until October, and I started working in October, which was quite nice. My parents didn't really push me. They just told me like, we would like you to have a job at least at the end of October, which I did, so that's great. But no one really forces you to apply, you know what I mean? The next thing is, again, living situation. Are you gonna work near your home? Are you gonna move somewhere else? If you move somewhere else, you need an apartment, but it's not as tight-knit because you're gonna make more money than when you go to college and work part-time. Of course, it's a full-time job. You will earn a normal amount of payment, which is much higher. So paying for an apartment isn't as big of a deal as if you're going to college. But there are a lot of things that will add up onto your paycheck or your monthly expenses. The first thing, again, I wanted to preface that I think everyone should budget, but I think it's really important that if you start working, you never earned as much money before. You know what I mean? You have to learn to figure out how to work with so much money that you don't just spend it all. If you live at home, it's really easy to just spend it because you don't really have any expenses, especially if your parents don't tell you to pay like a little bit of rent or anything like that. You literally live free. So it's really easy to just spend it all because you have it and you can. But I think budgeting at a young age and when you start working is really important. And this leads me into the next 2 to 3 points that I never thought about before I started working. So as a student, as a college student or high school student, any kind of student, you have a lot of perks. In Austria, if you are a student, you have student public transport tickets that are really cheap in comparison to adult or working public transport tickets. So for example, I could drive around Upper Austria for 60 euros a year with every public transport, bus, train, tram, everything. This is extremely cheap. When I wanted to work in the city, I searched up like how much the public transport would be because I don't want to drive with a car, first of all, in the city. Second of all, there is public transport, so I'm going to use it. I think it would have been 1,200 euros, which is a lot of money when you think about it. And also there would be extra payments of gas because of my car. You need car insurance, you need, if you're gonna have a car, if you need a car, you need to buy a car if you don't have one before. All of those things that you never think about. Health insurance. I learned that you're only insured automatically with your parents when you are a student, and I would have only been insured until November. So if I found a job in December, I would have been without health insurance for a month, which is not good. You shouldn't be without health insurance. I don't know how it works in other countries, but in Austria, everyone has health insurance. So it's really bad to not have health insurance, because you also have to think about it. If you don't have health insurance, that's another paycheck more if you go to the doctor. And you have to think about all of those things, and you, as a student, never think about it. First of all, because you have the pillow of your parents under you, where you never have to think about health insurance, doctors, bus tickets, all of those things. You never have to think about it because they do it all for you, or it's automatically all insured with your parents and all of those things. So it's like taxes. No one tells you about taxes. How do you do your taxes? I know what taxes are, but no one tells you how to do your taxes. And the same thing goes for insurance and all of the, like, public transport. No one tells you that there's so much cost behind it. So there are a lot of things, I think, did you have to think about when you start working? And I don't want to say that you shouldn't start working or you should go to college, because you then don't have to think about those things for a longer period of time, because eventually you will have to think about it. But I never thought about it, and maybe I should have thought about it, because maybe I would have saved more money when I was younger. So to conclude this video, I have 4 things that I think everyone shouldn't forget about and should think about when they graduate or before they graduate, so they have a little bit of a plan. You need to think about your future. What are you gonna do? Which is something that I hinted on when I did my last video, which is that I had to think a lot about what am I going to do in the future. Am I going to stay at home forever? Do I want to stay in my hometown forever, or do I want to go somewhere else? You need to think about all of those things. Can you afford going to another city? The living situation is the second thing that is the most, like, it's so important, because you don't want to stand there and not know where you're gonna live, what you're gonna do. Budgeting, and the last and most important thing, enjoy your summer. If you're a student, enjoy your summer breaks, because someday they will be over. So that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, give this video a thumbs up and comment down below which differences I should talk about in my next video, and go subscribe. It's free, and maybe I'm gonna get better at this in the future. Maybe you think I'm fun. Maybe not. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I see you in my next one. Bye!